This debate continues. Our community is losing Unilever, a major contributor to the tax base. And what are your plans to restore this property to the tax rolls? And Mr. Cimino, I believe that this question is for you first.
First of all, we have to know exactly what Unilever's plans are at the end of their exit, but we should be in those discussions right now. Then we need to aggressively market that property. There will be developers interested if we correctly market it and if we have zoning in place that will allow for the type of progressive development that the town center needs. I personally think that the potential uses of that property are limitless. It's located between Route 1 and 95. It has a lot of potential, but that's what we need to do.
Okay, I've been in contact with the plant manager, some of their corporate people for the last 6-7 months now, 6 months anyway. Prior to, they had no idea. Now that we're into November, we actually had a meeting last week. It was unrelated to the sale of the building, but more related to the Water Pollution Control Commission's desire to get on that property and test, which is one of the issues that they're having is with real estate. They can't really do much with it until either Water Pollution says, yeah, we want to use that property, or Water Pollution says, no, it's not on the list. Fairly confident that they won't be on the list because when the pipe was eliminated from Route 1, they did do subsurface testing, which I remember back in 2002, 2003, and the property was deemed not suitable to take discharge into the ground. So once that is taken off the list and DEP agrees, then that will help them with their marketing. They do have people interested. I have had them in contact with Ron Angelo, Deputy Commissioner of DECD, so that they know that there is opportunities available with potential buyers to assist them. I've also had Workforce Alliance and the Connecticut Labor Department in there meeting with their employees to see if there's any training that can be available for them as they exit the facility to other careers or if they relocate. We don't know what exactly going to be the disposition of the employees there. But it is, as Vincent said, it is a valuable property. There are limitless opportunities for that property. There aren't many around that have railroad sidings. That is one of them. As far as the tax revenue, we're going to lose the $55,000 in personal property for the equipment in the building. We're not going to lose the $190,000 in real property. That's going to be ongoing. The bigger damage to the town is going to be the daily revenue we lose from the employees that go out and buy coffee or buy lunch, etc. Thank you.
I frankly think that I can't add to the things that Willie and Mr. Cimino said that, yeah, we have to find out what Unilever's plans are for the building before we go forward with any plans of our own. Marketing Clinton and marketing Unilever property are a huge factor in what happens in our core area downtown in the next few years. We need to invigorate our EDC. Our Economic Development Commission has not had a huge presence in Clinton for years, but this would be a great opportunity for them to work hand in hand with Unilever to explore opportunities and prospective tenants or residents for that building. That is a pivotal piece of our downtown, and we can't afford to let it sit idle and sit off the tax base. Another factor that has not come up in discussion when we talk about the $55,000 that we're going to lose in property taxes for that structure is the personal ramifications for people who live in Clinton. There are a lot of people who live right here and work here and that aren't going to have jobs there after 2012. And I was glad to hear that Willie has investigated that and addressed that. And that is our responsibility, to make sure that those people are still able to function and provide for themselves and be viable, contributing community members. where our responsibility is not just to the building and to Unilever, it's to our citizens as well.
Thank you, Carol. Okay, this is for Mr. Fritz. The group sponsoring this debate, the Clinton Taxpayers Association, supports a zero tax increase for next year. Other citizens are interested in keeping the tax rate as low as possible. Do you think that you can accomplish this as our first selectman and still meet our responsibilities as a community?
As for keeping it as low as possible, that's always a goal of ours. Since I've been here, we've never put out a budget that wasn't what we thought was the best for the town residents, and also provide the services. Now, the last couple of years, the town residents said that they didn't think that it was good, so they voted it down. So we cut services. We did what we had to do to keep things going. We're at a point now where there's no more left to cut. Jerry Campion used to use the statement, we've cut so deep that there's nothing left but the bone. I can't promise a zero increase budget. I can only promise that we can do the best we can for the town of Clinton to continue to provide the services that are necessary to our residents, our students, and keep the burden on the taxpayers as low as possible. Our costs are going up, just like my costs at home are going up, and it's unavoidable. You talk about the schools and declining enrollment, this and that, but they've also had a declining amount of teachers over the last couple of years. They've had to reduce staff. Thankfully, they haven't had to lay off anybody that I know of. They've been able to do it through attrition. The town has reduced staff. Prior to budgets failing, I was able to reduce staff through attrition in some of our offices, consolidate services to make a more efficient operation. Being proactive that way, I guess we might have jammed ourselves up because when the budgets failed, we really didn't have anywhere to go. But actually cutting services and cutting capital. And the more you cut capital and continue to cut capital, the deeper the hole you're getting yourselves into. We have a lot of issues with our infrastructure and our buildings. When I took office, we spent a lot of money, time, bringing things back into shape, and we're still continuing to do so. Any further cuts in that is going to set us back further. We're moving forward, we're moving well. We've been very responsible, and I will continue to be responsible, but I cannot ever promise, I don't think anybody can promise, a zero increase. The mill rate is a derivative of your expenditures, your revenues, and your grant list. That's what comes out of all three of those is your mill rate, and those are hard to change.
It is my goal to have a zero tax rise for next year. That is my goal. It is a huge undertaking and an enormous task, but it's a main reason why I'm sitting in this chair tonight. I cannot watch our taxes go up to the point where people just can't afford to live here anymore. You're paying more, your equity in your house, your home values are decreasing because our tax rate is so high, people are hesitant to come here to live. We have to rectify the situation by finding a balance in the middle. Are we overtaxed? I would believe that the $1.2 million surplus that we wound up at the end of the last year might say that we are overtaxed. I think we need to scrutinize. I know how hard Willie looked at every line item last year, but somehow we have to find a way to make this work. It's what the people want. If the people didn't want a zero tax increase, then we wouldn't have had 3 referendums last year. That is the taxpayer saying to us, the Board of Selectmen, we don't like this budget. We don't want to pay more. So our job is to be responsive to that, to hear you and do everything in our power to keep taxes as low as they can possibly be. We don't want a surplus because we don't want to take the money out of your pocket. We do not want, once again it comes to looking for grants, looking for other ways to fund the services that we enjoy now and keeping it as off the shoulders of the taxpayers as we can. Thank you.
After we defeated the budget last year, there was a budget hearing held by the Board of Finance where they asked that residents come forward with any potential alternative budgets. And I believe I was the only one who came forward, but I came forward with a proposed budget that would lead to a 0 increase. It was basically, to the credit of the Board of Finance, adopted, with the exception being that I said we should use a small portion of the newfound $1.2 million surplus. I still think we could have used that and we would have had a flat budget. With regard to next year, what we need to address is that $9.4 million bonding package. And I'm going to put it out to the Clinton Taxpayers Association in circulating a petition that we want another referendum on the $9.4 million bonding package, because it's your right. It's a town meeting form of government. 600 people came out and indebted the town by $9.4 million. Okay, that cannot be allowed. We have to publicize all of these town meetings. And it's not just that one meeting, but this is a big one. We need, the CTA should circulate a petition. Let's get 300 signatures together and let's demand another referendum on the $9.4 million bonding package. And this time, it's not an all or nothing. We have a laundry list. Let's let people vote on exactly what they want and what they don't want.